Batisi TV Lone Rashapi Daka Frank Motors Kajaka Dekali Gabatamai Junka Tata Motors Halatko Ni Shillong Rinkat Bakanet Foodish Ordar Mapi Ninwan Ramani Hakir Dobiying Jompi.
Saying that many villages have come forward because
Menteri Ketenat Forest and Environment ke Sorkar Jilla u James PK Sangma hakasngi baar uliyatho ba Ketenat Forest and Environment kala thaulat kumno ban penbon sesu yaki Khlaw Shnong hapo ke Jilla hakajing keren bat kilat pathai khubor u James PK Sangma ulaong bakajing don jongki Khlaw hapo ke Jilla kala nangrit suki pasuki badai halor kani ka daw ba Ketenat Forest and Environment kala kintu yaki office jong Ketenat Banyada ki Khlaw ki badon hakiraj ki hima ki Shnong bat ki thau yamanta ki don tang prapuwei tili ki Khlaw wala ri bat sumar da ki Shnong ki thau hapo ka Jilla Meghalaya barok away.
Very sure that it is going to it is already showing the desired results. As you know that the government of Meghalaya only has a certain amount of forests under the government, right? The forest department only owns a certain amount. A majority of the forests are with the community, and that is why there are multiple reasons why this cover could have gone down. It's also because there is economic activities that are taking place at the cost of the environment sometimes. But as I said, for us as a government, there's very less number of areas under our jurisdiction or under our control. But regardless of that, we are working towards ensuring that we increase the number of community reserve forests that are there. There are 81 in number right now, and we seek to increase these number of community reserve forests to a much larger extent. And we hope that with this kind of intervention, forest officials, the forest department is working very hard to see that we increase that. And we have seen a lot of positive response coming from many villagers and villagers who are keen to give their land not ownership, but to convert their certain areas into community reserve forests, which will be protected, and the government will be compensating the village and the villagers to a certain extent for that. This is funded basically by the Integrated Development for Wildlife Habitat. Am I right? Wildlife Habitat, IDWH, and there is a certain amount of money set aside for that. I'm not exactly sure what is the total amount. Of course, Mr. Phai is here, our Chief Wildlife Warden. He'll be able to tell you. But this is principally the fund under which we usually take care of our community reserve forests. This is a paradox that it's not just us, but many governments across the world are facing when it comes to how do you balance economic growth along with preserving the environment. So this is definitely a big challenge. It's not easy, and we are trying our level best. The government has recently come about with payment for ecosystem services, which Honorable CM mentioned today. And this is something I think that if we incentivize protection and conservation of the environment, people will come forward, because as we know that these forests sometimes face degradation because of economic benefits that they may be seeking from firewood, timber or forest produce. So if we were to compensate that and incentivize people to come ahead and start protecting their forests, I think that this will go a very long way in conservation efforts. So and community reserve forests is also one of the initiatives taken by the Forest Department, which looks at how we can collaborate with community. As we all know, majority of the forests lie with the community. So this is how we plan, we have been doing it, and it's been fairly successful. As I was saying, that many villages have come forward, because I think the awareness among people that protection of our forest is paramount, is very important. Looking at climate change, looking at the fact closer to home, where their springs are drying up, their rivers are drying up, water sources are drying up, they understand very well that it is intrinsically linked with the survival of forests. So people are voluntarily coming up and they are wanting to set up a reserve forest. So I think that we are being able to arrest this degradation and we are being able to reverse that and increase our forest cover. Of course, this is a very slow process. It will take time till we see results, but nonetheless, I'm very, very sure that it is already showing the desired results. Is a very extractive, industry. Coke is an offshoot of mining, and these are things that do have a very, very negative impact on the environment. And we are very well aware of all these kind of things that are there. But as I said, there is a need to balance economic growth along with preservation of the environment, and this is easier said than done. It's not, I will not shy away from the fact to say that this is a huge challenge for us. But these are the out-of-the-box ideas that we are trying to bring about, wherein people will eventually come to realize that there are other sources of livelihood, other means of surviving and sustaining their families, sustaining themselves, which are sustainable. And we are very optimistic that eventually Meghalaya as a state, as a people, will be slowly transitioning from such kind of extractive, environmentally harmful practices to more sustainable practices and means of livelihood.